Hello, and thank you for watching the presentation for our new district administrators regarding portal responsibilities. My name is Naomi Colas, and I am with the service desk at the Department of Education. So the purpose of this presentation is to basically instruct any new school administrator or superintendent what the portal district administrator's main responsibilities are going to be. And those are the folks who are managing the electronic access to financial and various data systems for their districts and schools through the NDE portal. So what is the portal? The portal is a website, portal.education.ne.gov, where the Department of Education collects various financial and data reports. When you're new and you don't have a portal account, there's a couple things that can be helpful if you go to the portal, and that the first thing to do is pretty much go to the help tab. There's instructions on how to set up a brand new portal account. Those are topic number 2. And then if you are the school administrator, there's instructions under topic number 3 regarding the district administrator responsibilities. And these are the responsibilities of the portal manager, who we call a district administrator. Once you've got your portal account set up, so let's say you're transitioning from another school where you weren't a district administrator, you're still going to use your portal account because the portal accounts belong to the person, not the school or the system. So once you have your portal account, whether you're new or you're transitioning from another school, you're going to submit, excuse me, a ticket to the service desk. We're going to help you get the previous administrator's access removed. They'll need to do that themselves. And then once that's removed, we're going to help get you the access because only one person can be the portal district administrator at a time. We will send you a unique code. You're going to add that to your My Profile tab, which is in your portal account. The services desk is going to get notified that you did that, and then we're going to approve that access. So there's several steps to go through because it's that unique of a process. And like I said, only one person at the school district or the school or the district can have access. So once you've been approved, you'll see 4 main tabs in your portal account that you're going to use. There's the data collections tab, the student and staff NSSRS tab, the district admin tab, which is unique to you. No one else at your school probably has this one because you're the only one who manages district access. And then the My Profile tab. So that's where you would update your password or email address. So we're going to talk through the various tabs as we go through here. So I'm going to start with these 2, the data collections and the NSSRS, student and staff NSSRS tab. The reason I start with those is because that's where the majority of the data is collected, right? And so we'll kind of talk about what those different tabs are. Then we'll spend time talking about the district administrator tab, that district admin tab that's unique to you and where you help manage your district's data. So in the student and staff NSSRS tab, are various student and staff data collections. So we collect student information here and staff information. And this is more than just, excuse me, a count of the students at your school or a count of the staff. For the student data collections, we utilize Advisor, Advanced Data Views, Improving Student Educational Response. We use various Advisor systems. One is called Advisor Validation. This is utilized by special purpose schools, public districts. Non-publics have a separate process to go by, as do Rule 18s. And then we've also got Advisor Person ID. This is a collection that all systems will eventually use. And then also within this tab, you've got staff data collections. So every year there's a new staff reporting collection, and that collects all the data about your particular staff working for you that school year. There's the NSSRS validation collection and the NDE staff ID collection. So we'll dig into the student collections first. Advisor validation is the first one I mentioned on the previous slide, and it's student data from a district SIS, school information system, that's validated here. So the district sends information into Advisor validation, and then all the data is put in different reports and analyzed, and errors can pop up. And that's where the student data is worked. There are 3 collection periods for Advisor validation: the fall, year end, and then the follow-up collection. So it allows districts lots of time to make edits to their student data. This particular collection has 4 activation codes, and think of activation codes as security levels. So some folks at your district may just need district level access. Some may need district level and special education. And some people, like a data steward, are going to need all 4 activation codes because they need all 4 levels of security clearance to access this collection. Advisor Person ID is the second student-specific collection in the Student and Staff NSSRS tab, and this is a collection where you can create and view unique student ID numbers. Every kiddo in the state has their own ID number. This information populates advisor validation with the first name, last name, and the date of birth. So it's important that this information is correct. And we don't want students sharing IDs, and we definitely don't want students to have more than one ID. It can create some data redundancies. So it's important that each school is updating this information in the Advisor Person ID collection once a year minimally. We like in the fall as school starting. And we like to say every student gets updated every year. So here's a link to some resources related to advisor data. There's a calendar that has various due dates in there listed specific to advisor validation. There's the advisor data elements document, which is guidance for advisor validation. There's approval how to approve advisor validation. And then there's some program specific links like career and tech ed and early childhood. Lastly, you'll find instructions here for Advisor Person ID and file templates, things like that. Now, the other component of this particular tab in your portal account is staff collections. So this collection is named staff reporting. And this every year you'll add a new collection to your portal account. So this last year was staff reporting 22-23. Going into next year, it'll be staff reporting 23-24. This collection is open all year. It opens in August and it's available all the way till June. There's various deadlines though throughout that time period. There's a statutory due date of September 15th. Then there's a fall deadline to get everything organized and really make sure it's correct on October 30th. And then there's an end of year deadline on June 30th, where you make your final updates, people who've exited, entered the school system before the collection closes. And there's a link here for some resources related to staff reporting data. The other collections that are specifically related to staff data are NSSRS validation, where the staff data that you've reported is analyzed. Errors may display because we're looking at that data from different angles. And then there's some verification reports if you want to look at the data you reported to the state and make sure your current personnel report, for example, lists all of the staff who worked at your school that year. The second collection is called the NDE Staff ID, and here you can create and view staff ID numbers. Most people who are reported in staff reporting are certified staff, so they'll already have a staff ID and you shouldn't need to create one. But there may be some staff who aren't certified that you're reporting in your staff reporting collection. And in that case, you may need to create an ID if they don't already have one. Again, same with student IDs. We only want one staff ID per person. We don't want staff sharing IDs. It causes confusion. So it's important to kind of review that and make sure that that's accurate. Here's some additional staff reporting resources. The Teach system, which is the certification site, has a specific portal, the business partner portal, for districts to review the staff who are listed at your school. And then this link here is for the public cert lookup, where you can look up to see if a person's certified and what type of certificate and endorsements they have. Now, we're going to switch gears. This is a second tab in the portal, and it's called the Data Collections tab. And in this tab, we're supporting the collection of many different kinds of data. So you've got examples from our finance team, the annual financial report, the census report, LC2, budget stuff. We've got some collections for the accreditation team, including the counselor and library media specialist not endorsed, the Rule 10 assurances, non-public curriculum. And then we've got some various other collections that are pretty specific to the types of data, the DHHS superintendent letter for public schools, the high ability learners collection, the exempt schools report, and the consolidated data collections. Now, what's cool about the consolidated data collections, we often refer to it as the CDC, is that it's a collection of collections. So you've got your data collections tab and you have all these collections in it. And then there's one of these collections called CDC, and it's got a bunch more collections in it. This particular collection, the activation codes are based on user type. So kind of what I was talking about with advisor validation, where depending on their security level, you're going to give them various activation codes. So within the CDC, you may have someone who needs to do all of the collections, in which case you're going to provide them with the user type for the all access. But you may have someone who's only doing staff data, or they're only looking at federal programs data, in which case you're going to select the user type specific to the needs of what data they're reporting. The only person who gets the approver user type must be the portal district administrator. So in most cases, this is the superintendent, and this is a one-person only code per district because every single collection in the CDC has to be approved by the portal district administrator. Some examples of the collections within the CDC are non-public membership, Title I non-public consultation, and pupil transportation report. There's a bunch more in there as well. So some resources related to the various data collections in the data collections tab. Here's a link to the CDC where there's a calendar and then instructions for each of the collections. And then the finance page has a whole bunch of really helpful resources and links as well. All right, so now we get to the nitty-gritty. I'm the portal district administrator. I'm the only one at my school who's doing this. How do I do this? So this portal tab, the district admin tab here, like I said, is only good for one user at the school. And this is where the district and system access is managed. So you as the portal district administrator decides who has access to what collections and what level of security they have. There's two sections in this tab. One is the collection activation codes section, and this is where you can look up activation codes and hand out things based on what the roles and responsibilities are of folks at your district. And the other one is administrator reports. This is where you can run reports on who has access at your school or your district, and you can list that stuff. I think it's really important to reiterate, only one person at the school has this tab, the district admin tab. And that's so that we are being FERPA compliant and making sure that only one person at the district is really managing who has access to what information in the portal. So it is super imperative that you do not share your login information, especially if you are the district administrator, because when you have access to this, anyone can look up activation codes and assign collections to themselves and or hand out codes to others. When you're in the collection activation codes section, you can choose the collection name from this first drop-down box. And when you do that, a box is going to display at the bottom. Here's an example chart. So there's a couple things to note in this chart. So you're going to see who the current collection users are. In this case, John D has access to this general user type code for the CDC. You're going to be able to see if there's any potential restrictions on codes. So as I was talking about earlier, the approver user type can only have one user. So there's your restriction listed there. And then what's really helpful, especially if you're an incoming district administrator and there's been some changes at your school year over year, you can see this remove button here. And let's say Abby here is no longer at the school. You would click remove in order to remove the access from her account so that you could copy the code and add it to your portal account. When you're looking at reports, as I mentioned, there's two different ways to look. One is district user. So you can run the report by anyone who is a district user at your school, or by collection user report. So then you're running it more by the collection itself. Who at my school has access to advisor validation and what level of access do they have? If you have any questions at any time about any of this process or the portal itself, The service desk is your greatest resource. All we ask is that you send us an email and we are happy to help answer any question. There is no such thing as a dumb question. Please send us an email. The other thing that can be really helpful with all this, especially as we have changes in collections, new collections open, they close, they're due, we're in an audit window. Subscribe to the NDE bulletin. At this bulletin, you can sign up for notifications whenever a new collection opens or is closing or anything like that. So it's really important to subscribe to that with your most current email address, because we don't know when email addresses change. So if you get to change your email address, go to the bulletin and resubscribe under your new email address. And again, if you have any questions for us, please always email. We're happy to help. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope this has been helpful.